The alarm bells rang through the Galactic Council's main monitoring station. Technician Urilka's 6 eyes widened as she stared at her display screen. The signal was weak but clear, a distress call from the Outer Rim. Council Leader Thexmore, "We have an emergency transmission," Urilka called out with her voice shaking. The tall, blue-skinned council leader walked over quickly. His face showed worry as he looked at the data flowing across the screen. The signal came from Kepler 442, a peaceful system near the edge of known space. "Play the message," Thexmore ordered. The speakers crackled with static. Then a voice came through, musical and bell-like, the sound of a Zephyrian speaking in panic. "This is Colony Leader Silara of the 3rd Kepler Settlement. We are under attack. The Nexari swarm has entered our system. They have already consumed the outer worlds. Our defenses cannot hold them. Please, anyone who receives this message, we need help. Our people are dying. The Nexari eat everything, our cities, our land, our people. We have maybe days before they reach our main colony. Please help us." The message cut to static. Urilka tried to clean up the signal, but nothing more came through. Thexmore stood silent for a long moment. The Zephyrians were peaceful crystal beings who spent their time growing beautiful gardens and making art. They had no weapons, no military. They trusted in the Council's protection. "How long would it take our nearest fleet to reach Kepler 442? Thexmore asked. Urilka's claws clicked on her keyboard. "The 5th Defense Fleet is 3 months away at maximum speed. The Nexari will be finished with the system long before then." Thexmore's heart sank. The Nexari swarm was every peaceful species' worst nightmare. They were bug-like creatures that traveled in massive living ships. They ate entire worlds, stripping them down to the core. Whole civilizations had vanished when the Nexari found them. "Call an emergency council session," Thexmore said. "All members must know about this." Within hours, the Great Council chamber filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Beings of every shape and size took their seats. Some had tentacles, others had wings. A few looked like walking trees. All of them showed concern as they heard the Zephyrian message. "We must do something," said Councillor Vexhai, her red skin glowing with emotion. "The Zephyrians are good people. They have helped terraform dozens of worlds for other species. But what can we do?" asked Councillor Tolgren, his mechanical voice flat and emotionless. "Our fleets are too far away. The Nexari move fast. By the time we get there, nothing will be left." The council argued for hours. Some wanted to send what ships they could. Others said it was pointless. They would just lose more lives. A few suggested they should focus on protecting other worlds instead. As the debate went on, Councillor Vexhai stood up. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard her. "There is one fleet that could reach Kepler 442 in time," she said. The chamber went silent. Everyone knew what she was thinking, but no one wanted to say it. "You cannot be serious," Thexmore said. "They are too dangerous." "More dangerous than letting an entire species die?" Vexhai shot back. Councillor Tolgren's metal fingers drummed on his desk. "The humans have been members of this council for 50 years. They have never broken our laws or attacked anyone. Because they choose not to," said Councillor Plixton, his feathers ruffling with fear. "Do you know what their home world is like? Sol 3 is rated as a Class 12 death world. Nothing should be able to live there, but they do. They are the only species we know that evolved on such a hostile planet. That is exactly why they might be able to help," Vexhai said. "Every other species in the galaxy comes from safe, peaceful worlds. Humans come from a place that tries to kill them every day. If anyone can fight the Nexari, it would be them." The chamber erupted in noise. Half the council members spoke at once. Some supported the idea, others thought it was madness. "They eat the flesh of other animals," one councillor said with disgust. "Their planet has deadly weather that can kill in minutes," said another. "They fight wars with weapons that destroy entire cities," added a third. "They have never shown aggression toward any council member," Vexhai replied firmly. "Yes, they are different. Yes, they seem scary to us, but they have always helped when asked. Remember the food crisis on Centauri Prime? Human ships delivered supplies when no one else could get through the asteroid field." Thexmore raised his hand for silence. The chamber gradually became quiet. "The question before us is simple," he said. "Do we ask the humans for help, or do we let the Zephyrians die? Those are our only choices." Councillor Tolgren spoke up. "I have read the human files. They have something they call a military. Most of our species have only police forces for keeping order. Humans have organized groups whose only job is fighting. Their ships carry weapons we do not understand. Which is why we should be careful, Plixton said. What if we let them loose and they decide they like fighting so much they do not stop? Then we will deal with that problem when it comes, Vexai said. Right now, innocent people are dying while we debate. The vote was close. Many council members still feared what might happen if they asked the humans to use their military power, but in the end, the thought of an entire species being wiped out was worse than their fear. The motion passes, Dexmore announced. We will send the distress call to Earth. As the council session ended, many members left feeling worried. They had just asked the galaxy's most dangerous species to go to war. No one knew what would happen next. Rilke prepared the message to send to Sol 3. She included the Zephyrian distress call and a formal request for aid from the Galactic Council. As she sent it toward Earth, she wondered if they had just made a terrible mistake. In the deep space between stars, the message traveled at light speed toward a small yellow star. There, on the third planet, lived beings that had climbed to the top of their world's food chain through violence and intelligence. They called themselves humans, and they were about to show the galaxy what creatures from a death world could do when someone asked for help. The message would reach Earth in 18 hours. After that, everything would change. Council leader Thexmore stood alone in the empty chamber after everyone left. He looked up at the star charts showing the location of Kepler 442. Somewhere out there, crystal beings were hiding in caves while monsters ate their world. Please let this work, he whispered to himself. And please let the cure not be worse than the disease. Outside the station's windows, the stars shone coldly in the endless night. Soon, some of those stars would witness the first time a death world species went to war for strangers. The galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Sarah Chen was drinking her morning coffee when the priority alert came through. The red light on her desk started flashing, and the urgent tone made her put down her cup immediately. Admiral, we have an emergency transmission from the Galactic Council. Her aide, Lieutenant Rodriguez, said as he rushed into her office. Sarah frowned. In 50 years of council membership, they had never sent Earth an emergency message. She pressed the button to play the transmission. The alien voice was formal but clearly stressed. Greetings to the Human Defense Coalition. The Galactic Council requests immediate military assistance. A peaceful member species faces extinction from the Nexari swarm. Time is critical. Please respond. The message included coordinates for a star system Sarah had never heard of, along with details about the attack and the species in danger. As she read, her expression grew more serious. Get me President Martinez on the line, she ordered, and call a meeting of the Joint Chiefs. Full emergency protocols. Within an hour, the top leaders of Earth's government and military filled the secure briefing room, deep under Coalition headquarters. President Martinez sat at the head of the table, her face grim as Admiral Chen explained the situation. So let me understand this, said General Thompson, the head of the Marine Corps. For 50 years, the aliens have treated us like dangerous children. They watch our every move and make it clear they think we are too violent for polite society. Now they want our help? Because no one else can help, Admiral Chen replied. Look at these numbers. The closest council fleet is 3 months away. These Zephyrians will be dead long before then. Defense Secretary Williams leaned forward. What do we know about this Nexari swarm? Admiral Chen brought up a holographic display. Intelligence reports describe them as a hive mind species. They travel in bioships, living vessels that can regenerate damage. They consume entire planets, stripping away everything down to the bare rock. Dozens of species have been wiped out completely. What about their military capabilities? Asked Air Force General Kim. That is where it gets interesting, Chen said. According to council records, they overwhelm enemies with numbers and the fact that their ships heal themselves. Most galactic species fight with energy weapons and defensive shields. The Nexari just absorb the damage and keep coming. President Martinez had been silent during the briefing. Now she spoke up. How long would it take us to get there? Using our new quantum fold drives, we could reach the Kepler 442 system in 3 weeks, Chen answered. But we would have to use our most advanced ships, and we would be revealing technology the Council does not know we have. The room fell quiet. For decades, Earth had hidden its true military strength from the galaxy. They had joined the Council as junior members, letting everyone think humans were just another peaceful species with basic technology. How many ships would we need? The President asked. For a mission like this? I recommend the full shock fleet protocol, Chen said. 50 ships including the Indomitable as flagship, 20,000 Marines, everything we can fit with quantum fold capability. General Thompson whistled low. That is our entire rapid response force. If we send them across the galaxy, Earth will be defended only by the home fleet. The Council would never attack Earth, Secretary Williams said. They are too afraid of us as it is. President Martinez stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of the capital city. Somewhere up there, alien beings were dying while Earth's leaders debated. They asked for our help, she said finally. 50 years ago, when we joined the Council, we promised to help defend peaceful species. This is our chance to prove that promise meant something. There will be consequences, General Kim warned. Once we show what our military can really do, the galaxy will never see us the same way. Maybe that is not a bad thing, Admiral Chen said. Maybe it is time they knew what Earth is really capable of. The president turned back to face the room. Do it, send the shock fleet. The next 18 hours were chaos. Across Earth's orbital shipyards, crews worked around the clock to prepare the fleet. The Indomitable, humanity's newest and most powerful dreadnought, was loaded with enough firepower to level a small moon. 50 ships that had never been seen outside Earth's solar system prepared for their first mission. Captain Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the final preparations. He had fought in the Titan Wars and the Jupiter Uprising. He had seen what humans could do when they decided to fight. But this was different. This time they were fighting for people they had never met, who lived so far away that Earth was just another star in their sky. Captain, all ships report ready, his communications officer announced. Rivera activated the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, this is Captain Rivera. In 30 minutes, we will make humanity's first quantum fold jump outside our solar system. Our mission is simple. Save innocent lives from creatures that want to eat them. Show the galaxy what Earth's children can do when someone asks for help. Down in the Marine bays, 20,000 soldiers made final checks on their equipment. These were not the police forces that most galactic species had. These were warriors trained from birth on a world that wanted to kill them. They carried weapons designed for fighting in the worst conditions imaginable. Sergeant Major Williams looked at her troops as they prepared their gear. Listen up, Marines. The aliens out there think we are just another soft species like them. They have no idea what a death world produces. When we get there, we show them. We show them what happens when you threaten the innocent in front of humans. The fleet began moving into jump formation. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, built for war in ways the peaceful Council species could never imagine. The galaxy was about to learn why evolution on a hostile world produced very different results. Admiral Chen stood in the command center, watching 50 of humanity's best ships prepare to fold space itself. All ships report ready for quantum fold, came the report. Initiate jump sequence, Chen ordered. Space twisted. Reality bent. The laws of physics cried out as human technology ripped a hole through the universe itself. One moment, the fleet hung in Earth's solar system. The next moment, they were gone. Behind them, Earth continued its quiet rotation around the sun. But the galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity was coming to war, and they were bringing all the fury of a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. In the Kepler 442 system, the Zephyrians huddled in their underground shelters while the Nexari consumed their world above. They did not know that help was coming. They did not know that the Council had made a desperate choice. They did not know that the Deathworlders were on their way. The human fleet dropped out of quantum fold space at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, staring at the tactical display. What she saw made her jaw clench with anger. 3 of the system's 4 inhabited worlds were gone. Where beautiful crystal cities once stood, only bare rock remained. Massive bioships, each one the size of a city, floated around the dead planets like vultures. They pulsed with sick purple light as they fed on the last bits of organic matter. "My God," whispered Commander Torres from the navigation station. "They ate everything." Captain Rivera moved beside the Admiral. "What about the 4th world?" Chen pointed to the main planet. Around it, dozens of Nexari ships swarmed like angry insects. Energy beams lanced down from space, cutting into the surface. Even from this distance, they could see explosions blooming across the planet's surface. "The Zephyrians are still alive down there," Chen said, "but not for much longer." The communications officer looked up from her station. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission. It is not directed at us. Looks like an automated distress beacon. Put it through. The voice that came through the speakers was weak and full of static. This is Colony Leader Solara. If anyone receives this message, please know that we tried to hold them. The Nexari have broken through our last defenses. They are in the cities now. Our people are. They are eating our people while they are still alive. Please, if there is anyone out there, do not let our children's deaths be forgotten. The transmission cut to static. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Rivera's hand slowly closed into a fist. How long do we have? Sensors show massive bioships moving toward the planet's surface, Torres reported. At their current rate, they will begin planetary consumption in 6 hours. Chen turned to the tactical station. What are we looking at for enemy forces? Lieutenant Commander Park brought up the battle display. 237 Nexari bioships. Sizes range from cruiser class to what can only be called mobile space stations. They are arranged in a feeding formation around the planet. Any response to our arrival? Negative. They either have not detected us, or they do not consider 50 ships a threat. Rivera smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Time to change their minds. All ships, battle stations. Throughout the fleet, alarms sounded. Human warriors who had trained their entire lives for war ran to their positions. Weapon systems came online. Shield generators hummed to life. The peaceful space around Kepler 442 was about to become very different. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the Nexari, the communications officer reported. Put it through. The voice that came through the speakers was not a voice at all. It was a psychic scream that tried to force its way into their minds. Most galactic species would have collapsed from the mental assault. The humans just looked annoyed. Images flooded the channel. Visions of consumed worlds, of entire species being eaten alive, of civilizations reduced to nothing. The Nexari were trying to terrify them into retreat. Are they done? Rivera asked after a few minutes of the mental attack. I think so, Chen replied. Open a channel. The Admiral stepped forward, her voice cold and clear. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Defense Coalition. You are attacking a peaceful member species of the Galactic Council. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The psychic laughter that came back was filled with contempt. More. Images flooded the channel. The Nexari showing how they had destroyed fleets 10 times larger than the human force. They seem to think we are just another weak council species. Rivera observed. Time to show them different, Chen said. All ships attack formation. Target the ships closest to the planet. We go in fast and hard. The human fleet moved like a pack of hunting wolves. The ships spread out in a formation no galactic species had ever seen, designed not for defense but for maximum destruction. They accelerated toward the Nexari swarm at speeds that should have been impossible. The first Nexari bioship to notice them was a massive creature the size of a space station. Its living hull pulsed with confused thoughts as it tried to understand what was happening. The council species always sent messages, always tried to negotiate, always gave warnings. The humans gave it a nuclear warhead traveling at significant fraction of light speed. The bioship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the entire system. The psychic scream of its death echoed through the Nexari hive mind, causing ships across the swarm to shudder in pain and confusion. Direct hit, Park reported. Target destroyed. Next target, Chen ordered. The human ships moved through the Nexari formation like sharks through a school of fish. Their weapons were not the energy beams that galactic species used. They fired chunks of metal and nuclear explosives that tore through bioship hulls like paper. The Nexari tried to fight back, but they had never faced anything like this. Their energy weapons splashed harmlessly off human shields. Their usual tactic of overwhelming numbers meant nothing when each human ship could destroy multiple enemies before taking serious damage. Admiral, the Nexari are breaking formation, Torres reported. They are pulling back from the planet. Negative, Chen said firmly. We do not let them regroup. All ships pursuit course. Cut off their retreat. Captain Rivera opened the Marine Channel. Prepare for boarding operations. Down in the Marine base, Sergeant Major Williams grinned as she heard the order. You heard the captain. Lock and load, Marines. Time to show these bugs what happens when you mess with innocent people. The Marines suited up in armor designed for fighting in space. Underwater, in toxic atmospheres or any other nightmare environment their death world had taught them to survive. They carried weapons that could punch through starship hulls and explosives that could level city blocks. The first boarding pod launched from the Indomitable like a bullet, smashing through the hull of a Nexari cruiser. 20 Marines poured out, their weapons already firing. The bug-like creatures inside had never seen anything like these armored killers from the Deathworld. The battle raged across the system. Human ships danced between the massive bioships, too fast to catch, too deadly to ignore. Nuclear fire bloomed in the darkness as ship after ship fell to human weapons. But it was the boarding actions that truly broke the Nexari. The aliens were used to fighting in the vacuum of space or the comfort of their bioships. They had never faced warriors who could fight anywhere, who treated hostile environments as just another day at the office. Sergeant Williams kicked down a bulkhead door and stepped into a Nexari breeding chamber. The insect creatures inside chittered in fear as her squad spread out behind her. "Nothing personal, Bugs," she said as she raised her rifle, "but you picked the wrong species to mess with." The battle for Kepler 442 had begun. The Nexari were about to learn why peaceful species feared the children of Deathworlds, and down on the planet's surface, the surviving Zephyrians looked up at the lights in their sky and dared to hope that someone had finally come to help. The battle had been raging for 6 hours when Admiral Chen realized the true horror of what they were fighting. The Nexari bioships were not just vessels. They were living creatures the size of cities, and the humans were killing them. "Admiral, we have a problem," Lieutenant Commander Park reported from his tactical station. "The enemy ships are adapting to our weapons. The bioships that survive our initial attacks are growing thicker armor." Chen studied the battle display. 36 Nexari ships had been destroyed, but the remaining vessels were changing. Their hulls grew plates of bone-like armor. They moved differently, trying to avoid the human attack patterns. "They are learning," she said grimly. "Time to teach them something new." Captain Rivera activated the fleet communication system. All ships switched to Pattern Delta. Biological warfare protocols are now active. Across the human fleet, weapon systems reconfigured. Instead of nuclear warheads, the ships began firing something far worse. Biological agents designed specifically to kill living tissue. Earth scientists had created these weapons after studying samples of Nexari biomatter from previous encounters. The first bioship hit by the new weapons began to convulse. Its living hull started to rot from the inside out. The creature's death scream echoed through the Nexari hive mind, carrying with it the knowledge that the humans had weapons that could kill them in ways they had never imagined. Down in the Marine boarding pods, Sergeant Major Williams was learning just how alien the enemy truly was. Her squad had breached the core of a Nexari cruiser-class bioship, and what they found inside defied description. The corridors were not built, they were grown. The walls pulsed like arteries. The floor was soft and warm, covered in some kind of organic slime. Worst of all were the sounds. The ship was breathing, its heartbeat vibrating through the deck plates. "This is seriously messed up," Corporal Jackson muttered as they moved through the living hallways. "Stay focused," Williams ordered. "Remember, we are inside a giant animal. Find the brain. Kill the brain." The Marines pushed deeper into the ship. They had trained for boarding actions on metal ships with corridors and bulkheads. This was like fighting their way through the digestive system of a whale-sized monster. They found the first group of Nexari in what looked like a feeding chamber. The insect-like creatures were tall as humans but stick-thin, with forearms and heads that looked like praying mantis. They moved in perfect coordination, sharing thoughts through their hive-mind connection. The fight was brief and brutal. The Nexari had energy weapons that could burn through most armor, but they had never faced opponents who fought like humans. The Marines used tactics that would have horrified the peaceful Council species. They took cover behind their own wounded, used the ship's living structure as weapons, and showed no mercy to enemies who asked for none. "Brain chamber located," Williams reported as her squad reached the ship's central nervous system. The room was filled with pulsing neural tissue that glowed with sickly light. "Planting charges now." The explosives were not the clean energy weapons that galactic species preferred. They were dirty chemical bombs designed to cause maximum destruction. When they went off, the entire bioship convulsed and died, its psychic death cry causing nearby Nexari vessels to flinch away in terror. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with growing satisfaction. The Nexari were in full retreat now, their numbers reduced by more than half, but she was not done with them yet. Communications, patch me through to the entire fleet, she ordered. Channel open, Admiral. Chen's voice carried across all 50 human ships. All vessels, this is Admiral Chen. These creatures have spent centuries eating innocent species. They think they are the apex predators of the galaxy. Time to show them what a real predator looks like. She paused, looking at the retreating Nexari formation. No prisoners. No survivors. We end this here and now. The human fleet moved forward like a pack of wolves closing in for the kill. They had abandoned all pretense of civilized warfare. This was what happened when you threatened peaceful species in front of creatures from a death world. Captain Rivera coordinated the attack from the Indomitable's bridge. Target the largest bioships first. Cut off the head of their formation. The massive Nexari command vessel was a nightmare creature the size of a small moon. Its surface was covered in weapon ports that looked like infected wounds. It had consumed the populations of entire worlds, growing larger with each feeding. The human ships surrounded it like antibodies attacking a virus. They fired everything they had: nuclear warheads, biological weapons, kinetic kill vehicles moving at impossible speeds. The bioship's surface erupted in explosions that could be seen from the planet below. But the creature was still alive, still fighting. Its weapon ports opened, revealing rows of teeth the size of buildings. Energy beams lanced out, striking human ships and burning through their armor. It is too big, Park reported. We are hurting it, but not killing it. Rivera smiled coldly. Then we get creative. Prepare a full boarding assault. Every Marine we have. Williams received the order with grim satisfaction. You heard the captain. We are going to kill this thing from the inside. Every squad, every Marine into the pods. We are going monster hunting. 2,000 human Marines launched simultaneously toward the massive bioship. Their boarding pods punched through its hull like bullets, each one carrying 20 of Earth's deadliest warriors into the creature's body. The fight inside the command vessel was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. The Marines moved through arteries and organs, following the creature's nervous system toward its brain. They fought Nexari defenders in chambers that pulsed with alien life, using explosives and flamethrowers to burn their way forward. The bioship tried to defend itself, closing passages and flooding chambers with acid, but the Marines were from a world that had tried to kill them every day of their lives. They adapted, improvised, and kept moving forward. Sergeant Williams reached the brain chamber first. It was vast space filled with neural tissue that glowed like a six-star. The creature's thoughts washed over her. Memories of consumed worlds, the screams of dying species, the joy it felt when feeding on helpless civilizations. This is for every innocent life you took, she said as she armed the nuclear charges her squad had carried into the heart of the beast. The explosion tore through the bioship's brain, killing the massive creature instantly. Its death scream was so loud that Nexari ships across the system shuddered and began to flee in panic. Admiral Chen watched the giant bioship go dark and drift lifeless through space. Around it, the remaining Nexari vessels were breaking formation, running for the edge of the system as fast as their organic engines could carry them. All ships, pursue and destroy, she ordered. Let none escape to threaten another world. The hunt continued for another 4 hours. Human ships chased down fleeing bioships across the system, showing no mercy to creatures that had shown none to their victims. By the time it was over, less than 20% of the original Nexari force remained alive, and those survivors were fleeing toward deep space, down on the planet's surface. The Zephyrians emerged from their shelters to see the lights of battle fading in their sky. They did not yet know who had saved them, but they knew someone had come when the Council could not. Admiral Chen stood on her bridge, looking at the debris field that had once been the most feared military force in the galaxy. The humans had won their first major battle outside their home system. But she knew this was just the beginning. Word of what happened here would spread across the galaxy. Every species would learn that the quiet humans from Sol 3 were not the peaceful newcomers they pretended to be. They were predators from a death world, and they had just announced their presence to the universe. The first Zephyrian to meet a human was a young crystal being named Veltar. She had hidden in the underground tunnels for 3 days, while the Nexari consumed her city above. When she finally emerged, she found a strange creature in metal armor sitting beside the entrance to her shelter. The armor was black and scarred from battle. The being inside was smaller than she expected, but something about the way it moved made her step back in fear. Then the creature removed its helmet, revealing a face unlike anything in her experience. The human was female, with brown skin and kind eyes that seemed very old despite her young appearance. She smiled when she saw Veltar, and that smile contained both warmth and a hint of something dangerous. "It is okay," Sergeant Major Williams said, her voice gentle. "You are safe now. The monsters are gone." Veltar's crystal body chimed with confusion. You are not from the Council. What species are you?" "We are humans. We came because you asked for help." All across the planet, similar meetings were taking place. Human Marines emerged from their dropships to find Zephyrian survivors stumbling out of hiding places. The crystal beings had expected to die. Instead, they found warriors from a distant world distributing medical supplies and helping to search for more survivors. Captain Rivera stood in what had once been the capital city's main plaza. The beautiful crystal spires that the Zephyrians were famous for lay in ruins. Scorch marks from Nexari weapons covered the ground. The air still smelled of smoke and death. "Casualty report?" he asked his aide. Lieutenant Torres checked her datapad. "Preliminary counts show about 60% of the population survived. They moved into the underground shelter system when the attack began." Smart thinking on their part. A group of Zephyrians approached cautiously. Their leader was an elderly crystal being whose body showed deep cracks from stress and fear. He spoke in the musical language of his people, which the humans' translation systems converted to standard Galactic. "I am colony leader Silara. Are you the ones who drove away the Nexari?" Rivera nodded. "Captain Marcus Rivera, Human Defense Coalition. We received your distress call." Silara's body chimed with amazement. "The Council said no help could reach us in time. How did you get here so quickly?" "We have fast ships," Rivera said simply. He did not mention that humanity had revealed their most advanced technology to save a species they had never met. Meanwhile, in orbit, Admiral Chen was dealing with a very different problem. Her communications officer had been receiving messages from across the galaxy for the past 6 hours. Word of the battle had already reached the Galactic Council. "Admiral, priority transmission from Council Leader Thexmore," the officer reported. "Put it through." The blue-skinned alien's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was hard to read, but Chen thought she detected fear beneath his formal manner. "Admiral Chen, the Council has received reports of your engagement with the Nexari swarm. We request a full briefing on your military capabilities and the weapons used in this action." Chen kept her expression neutral. "With respect, Council Leader, our military capabilities are Earth's business. We responded to a request for aid and eliminated the threat. The Zephyrians are safe. You eliminated over 200 Nexari bioships," Thexmore said, his voice rising slightly. "The largest fleet action in galactic history resulted in the destruction of perhaps 50 enemy vessels. How did 50 human ships accomplish what no other species has ever managed?" "We are very good at what we do," Chen replied. The truth was more complicated. Humanity had spent 50 years studying every piece of Nexari data they could find. Their weapons had been designed specifically to kill the bioships. Their tactics had been developed by warriors from a world where everything was trying to kill them. "The Council requires answers," Thexmore continued. "Some members are concerned about the implications of your military strength." Chen leaned forward slightly. "Concerned about what exactly?" "About what you might do with such power." The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was cold as space itself. "Council Leader, for 50 years, humanity has been a peaceful member of your organization. We have followed your laws, respected your customs, and asked for nothing except to be left alone. When innocent people called for help, we answered. If that concerns you, perhaps you should examine your own priorities." She cut the transmission without waiting for a reply. Down on the planet, the rescue operations continued. Human medical teams worked alongside Zephyrian healers to treat the wounded. Marine engineers helped clear debris from collapsed shelters. Slowly, carefully, the crystal beings began to trust their rescuers. Veltar had become fascinated by Sergeant Williams. The young Zephyrian followed the human around, asking endless questions about Earth and its people. "Your world really tries to kill you every day?" she asked as Williams checked on a group of injured Zephyrians. "Pretty much," Williams replied, examining a crystal being whose arm had been cracked by falling debris. "Storms that can level cities, animals that hunt in packs, diseases that can kill in hours. Makes you tough. But why do you help others if your own world is so dangerous? Williams paused in her work. It was a good question, one that cut to the heart of what made humans different from most galactic species. Because someone has to, she said finally. The universe is full of bullies and monsters. If the good people do not stand up to them, who will? The conversation was interrupted by an urgent transmission. All Marine units, return to your ships immediately. We have incoming vessels. Williams looked up at the sky where new lights were appearing. Looks like we have company. The ships dropping out of hyperspace were not human. They were elegant vessels belonging to various council species, the ones who had been too far away to help when the Zephyrians were dying. Now they arrived to find the crisis already resolved. Admiral Chen watched the council fleet take position around the planet. 12 ships from 6 different species, all wanting to understand how the humans had accomplished what they themselves could not. Incoming transmission. From the council fleet, her communications officer reported, put it through. The screen filled with multiple alien faces, council species wanting answers. Chen recognized some of them from diplomatic meetings over the years. Admiral Chen, one of them began, we demand to inspect your vessels and interview your personnel about the engagement with the Nexari. Chen smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. You demand? Under what authority? The Council Charter requires all military actions by member species to be reviewed and approved. After the fact? Chen asked. Interesting interpretation. Where was this concern when the Zephyrians were calling for help? The aliens looked uncomfortable. They had spent days debating while people died, and now they wanted to criticize the ones who had actually done something. Your weapons appear to violate several galactic warfare conventions, another council member said. Which conventions? Chen asked. The ones that prohibit biological weapons? The ones that require warnings before engagement? The ones that demand prisoners be taken? She leaned forward. Tell me, which of those conventions did the Nexari follow when they were eating the Zephyrians alive? The council representatives had no answer for that. Chen continued, her voice growing harder. For 50 years, humanity has played by your rules. We have been the junior members, the ones who sit quietly and follow orders. But when innocent people needed help, where were you? Where were your fleets, your weapons, your brave warriors? She stood up, towering over the camera. You were safe in your council chambers, debating protocol while people died. We were here, fighting monsters so you would not have to. The transmission from the council fleet fell silent. In that silence, Admiral Chen made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. From this day forward, humanity withdraws from council military authority. We will defend ourselves and our allies as we see fit. Any species that threatens innocent people in our presence will learn what children of a death world can do. She cut the transmission and turned to Captain Rivera. Signal the fleet. We are going home. As the human ships prepared to leave, Veltar stood with Sergeant Williams on the planet's surface, watching the strange warriors pack their equipment. Will you come back? The young Zephyrian asked. Williams smiled and handed her a small communication device. If you ever need help, call us. Humans do not abandon their friends. The human fleet departed Kepler 442 system, leaving behind a world that would never forget who had saved them. Behind them, the council ships remained, trying to understand what had just happened. Word of the Deathworld intervention spread across the galaxy faster than light. Some species called for humanity to be expelled from the council, fearing what they might do with their military power. Others, the peaceful species who lived in constant fear of predators like the Nexari, quietly began reaching out to Earth. They wanted protection. They wanted to know that someone would come when the monsters arrived at their door. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable as they made the jump back to Earth. She knew that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer the quiet junior member of the Galactic Council.